Good morning. The secret of success is openness to the truth, no matter by whom it is uttered.
Good morning, friends, and welcome. Let's start our satsang today with a prayer together. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, great masters, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswarji, beloved Master, Paramahansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, we bow at thy feet. Bless our satsang today with thy tangible presence. May we feel thee in and all around us now. Bless our lives with thy light, thy guidance, with thy love. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. We'll have some chanting now and then a period of meditation.
Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Ganamurtim Dandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamashya Vilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadeshakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tvam Namami.
Oh my saint, wake and wake, oh my saint, wake and wake, oh my saint, you do not meditate
meditate now. Let's inhale, double breath, tense your body, and exhale. Relax twice more. Let's meditate a few minutes together now. Meditate on these words of Swami Kriyananda Ji on relinquishing fear. Imagine the worst thing that could happen to you. Then, still imagining, relax your heart and accept it. If you can bear that visualization, inner freedom will be yours. Why not then accept whatever comes? Do you fear death? It can't be avoided. So why fear it? When it comes, accept it willingly, even gladly. For know this, you yourself can never die. Let's do this affirmation of masters together. Repeat after me in a loud voice, and then more and more quietly, and then whispering and mentally. God is within and all around me. God is within and all around me, protecting me, protecting me. So I will banish the fear. So I will banish the fear that shuts out his guiding light. God is within and all around me. God is within and all around me, protecting me, protecting me. So I will banish the fear that shuts out his guiding light. God is within and all around me. God is within and all around me, protecting me, protecting me. So I will banish the fear that shuts out his guiding light. Whispering, God is within, all around me, protecting me, protecting me. So I will banish the fear that shuts out his guiding light. Mentally now, looking up at the spiritual eye, implant this powerful thought in your mind. God is within, all around me, protecting me. So I will banish the fear So I will banish the fear that shuts out his guiding light. Om Shanti Shanti. Let's listen to an excerpt of a talk by Swami Kriyanandaji. Then we'll have our readings from the Whispers from Eternity and the Bhagavad Gita.
And so he's not thinking about, oh, if I do this, I'll make a mistake. He can take chances as necessary. He doesn't take foolish chances, but he's willing to take a few big chances and lots of small chances. He's willing to put that energy out without knowing what's around the bend, because he knows that the real determining factor in whether he succeeds or not is not whether the chips fall right, but whether he's got that energy to put out continuously, to try again and again and again. And you'll notice that this is a feature of all really successful people, geniuses and so on. Whether successful or whether geniuses in business or in business or in banking or in art or in meditation, whatever it might be, you'll find that those people who really get there are not the people who think, oh, what if I do this, what will happen? You remember that strange story in the path that Yogananda told me of a disciple of Shankaracharya? You remember that story? She was full of doubts all the time. What if this? What if that? Finally, she said to him, what if I die? Meaning, what if I die before I accomplish these things? He just looked at her calmly. He said, all right, die then. She died. A very peculiar lesson, you might say, for a guru to teach his disciple. But after all, he saw that she didn't really die. She just left that body. He saw that it was time for her to work out her fears so that she could realize, get them out of her system so she could start working in a more positive way. A master doesn't see death the way you and I see death. And therefore, for him to say die and let you die is not important.
Good morning. This reading is from the Whispers from Eternity by Paramhansa Yogananda. Demand to be able to conquer fear. Infinite Spirit, teach me to comprehend the utter uselessness of being afraid. Help me to keep in mind that even death, since come it must, at least comes only once and need not be suffered 1,000 times beforehand through fear. When death does come, it will be by nature's mercy. When it comes, I will welcome it in my soul, for I will understand that it is time for me to move on, lowering the curtain on this life's dramas, but traveling perhaps to something new and equally interesting. Let me not be a psychological antique fearing change. Teach me not to paralyze my nerves daily with the dread of some future imaginary accident. Such dread may only invite the accident to happen. Bless me that I not let fear anesthetize my mind and shut off my unlimited power as thy child to overcome all tests and trials. Help me to realize that whether I'm awake or asleep, alert or dreaming, thine all protecting presence encircles me always.
This is a reading from the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. Eternally, we have been with God, in God, and immersed in nothing but God. We have merely been enclosed, as if by thin wills at first, then by shawls, then by heavy curtains, and finally by the heavy, solid armor of egotism, and have taken as our point of departure in everything we are, do, see, and think this little point of consciousness in infinite space, our little self. These two vastly different perceptions of reality, on the one hand personal, confined, and even petty, and on the other hand impersonal, unlimited, and omnipresent, cannot be spanned intellectually. Yogananda described divine attainment as the liberating shock of omnipresence. Only by mental argument with the consciousness of an already liberated Guru can one make that leap across the yawning abyss which separates the ego from infinity. The attunement one seeks should not be with the Guru's personality so much as with that level of his consciousness which is beyond personality, one with the infinite. To prepare the mind for so vast an expansion, however, one cannot simply keep an open mind and go along for the ride. Only a spiritual hero can attempt the journey, even with the help of the Guru who has made it already. The courage required is not the daredevil type which declares while preening itself, "Just watch me, of course I can do it." It is of a different type altogether, seeming to require at first, perhaps, a very feminine kind of surrender, which says, "I trust you to do it right." Instead, however, there is nothing of either the feminine or the masculine in this great leap of faith. The heroism required is the courage implied in the words of a chant by Yogananda, paraphrased here. "I will drown myself in the infinite to find my true self to be infinite." True faith, it must be understood, is very different from blind relief.
Thank you for these wonderful readings. This is an important topic in today's times of I live without fear. And it's something for the disciple, for the devotee, to really try to understand and try to live in this way and not succumb to the fears, the worries, the doubts that are everywhere all around us, to stand strong, firm, in attunement with God, with our masters. Fear comes mainly from lack of attunement. And from that lack of attunement, lack of energy, lack of ideas, inspiration, lack of magnetism, negativity that's pulling us down, as we can keep our attunement, ourselves in attunement with God and the masters, what is there to fear? Last night we had a wonderful meditation on Divine Mother. I hope you all were there. Now that's how you overcome fear. You go as deep as you possibly can in God communion, in your practices, in your love, in opening your heart. And then you feel afterwards, there's nothing to fear in my whole life. I'm enveloped in the protection and the light and the love and the grace and the blessings of Divine Mother and of the masters. I was remembering several fun stories. They might not have been fun for those disciples at that time, but one in particular, these must have been very great disciples. The disciple who wasn't a disciple yet, who was looking for Babaji in the Himalayas, and when he finally climbs to know who knows how high, he finds Babaji and his band of disciples, and he says, I want to be your disciple. And Babaji says to him, you're not ready. You're not ready for discipleship. And the man says, well, if you won't take me, I'm going to jump off of this ledge. And Babaji says, he knew him and he knew his weaknesses, and you'll be tested on your weaknesses. The master tests you to get you strong in particular ways. So Babaji looks nonchalantly at the man. He says, well, then jump. And the fellow jumps and he dies. And Babaji tells the shocked disciples to go and fetch the man's body. And he brings him back. He heals him. And he says, now you are ready for discipleship. You have passed an enormous test, and death will never touch you again. It's an incredible story. You need to read these stories to strengthen yourself. And I was recalling also the story of Padmapada, the disciple of Shankara, who was standing on the other side of a lake, I believe it was, a body of water. And his guru, Shankaraji, looks at him and he just says, come. And the disciple immediately, he didn't look around, he didn't think about it, he didn't look for a boat. He immediately steps on the water. I love these stories. And up under his feet, his one foot, the lotus flower carried him across, and the other foot, the lotus flower. And he went all the way across and he met his guru. Now, how did these things happen? Their guru's power, God's power was surrounding them within me and all around me, as we just affirmed. And they had no fear. And when you think of life these days, people have fear about just about everything. There's fear of money, losing money, not having enough. There's fear of health. There's fear of virus. There's fear of your kids getting sick. There's fear of a relative illnesses. There's fear of people dying around you. There's fear of your own death. Then there's fear of some cataclysm that might come, a cyclone coming or earthquakes coming or whatever, various things happening. There's fears of all types that people have. And then I was thinking this morning, there's people afraid, they're fears of heights, fears of flying. Then there's some people who love flying, and that's why they've taken up becoming a pilot. There's various things. Some people love it. Some people are afraid of water. Other people love swimming, and they go out in the biggest tides in Hawaii and other places. So these fears there's something that are embedded. It's karma from other lifetimes, from this lifetime that we've gone into and we've accepted them, and you make it bigger than it is. And then it comes a major fear that you have to pull it back out. Nobody can do that for you. Of course, the master's power is there to help you. Another one is the fear of wild animals. And I told you once, and I love to get out in nature. And one time I was at the park at Lodi Garden, and I was sitting on the bench. I won't go into the story long because I don't have time, but I wasn't there 1 minute, and a dog comes over and he's rolling at my feet and he wants to play and he's looking for food. And I didn't have any food and I didn't want to play either. And here's the other thing. Some people are afraid of dogs and some people just love them. I wasn't afraid, but some people, they walk into a crowd, a pack of dogs, and the dogs just run over to them and they hug them and, you know, pet them. Other people, I gotta get out of here. So it's your own karma. And so I sat there and I was just enjoying the view. And then another one, 4 or 5 came over and then they start fighting. And they were all like right in front of me. Now, I could have shouted at them. I could have kicked at them. I could have run. I could have done a variety of things. But what I did, I just talked to them. I said, I'm moving out now. You can stay here and fight as long as you want. And I just worked my way out of there without a problem. I went just a little ways away and a girl was running from a huge dog. And the dog was barking and chasing after her. And I went over and tried to help her. The dog finally turned around, but you know, it was her own vibration. She went over later and was cursing the people and she just had a bad vibration, really. Then I saw an incredible story. You can Google this, but just recently, a young boy, he must not have been 7 or 8 years old, more than that. And his family had gone camping. So there they were, and a big, I mean big brown bear came at them. So what you see on the video clip is the parents, they were walking down a hill and the parents had already made it down the hill and the little boy was behind the father. So he was at a little bit of a distance, and behind the boy, you see this huge brown bear. And it was at a little bit of a distance, but not that far, really. And the father sees him, and the father just guides the boy, says, don't run, be centered, something like that. They didn't use that word, but be calm, don't run, just keep walking step by step towards me. And he's just looking right at that boy. Look at me, keep walking towards me, don't run. Keep coming. And that little boy never ran. He step by step by step, he made it to his father. The bear goes in the other direction. If that boy had started running, yelling, crying, the bear would have come after him. But his father, don't run. And this is the thing. When people think, I'll run away from my problems. I won't run away from my fears. No, you don't. They're still there. And the next thing comes, and the next time it comes again, and you have to get out of it. And then there's a wonderful story of Nayaswami, who he would be with the tigers every night at midnight, I think it was. It's in one of the books of the book of Debbie Mukherjee. So he tells Debbie Mukherjee, who was spending the night there with him, he says, only thing is after midnight, don't go out of the house. And he says, well, why? He says, just don't go. So at midnight, the Swami goes out and Devi Mukherjee he wants to know what's going on. So he comes and he looks out the window and he sees 12 tigers, big tigers out there with the Swami. And he's petting them and they're just all there with him. And this was a ritual every night. And I maybe he fed them. Maybe that's also why they came. But he was completely in his center, completely calm and relaxed. And then so he comes in and Debbie Mukherjee says, well, how come I can't go out there? And he says, no, you don't you go. He said, your love is only 60%. They will devour you. And think about it. That's why people are afraid. They don't have enough love or devotion. So the next night, the same thing happens and the tigers come and all of that. And you can see wonderful stories of how people were with wild animals. There's a wonderful book on elephants, the Elephant Whisperer, a great book. I hope you get that book. And just these wild elephants, this man calms them down. He works with them. They just become very connected with him. The same with lions, a lion called Christian. It's a wonderful book please. And you can go on the YouTube and you can see the clip that they raised this lion cub and they were gone away, these two men. They came back after a year and the lion recognized them. It came and gave them the biggest hug. But we go, no, I'm afraid. But the fear is in yourself. And just if we can calm ourselves and get centered in ourselves, you find that you can be strong no matter what comes. And Swami Sri Teswarji said something very important. And I'm just trying to tell you because I know people are afraid. People are worried. Am I going to lose my job? What's going to happen? Is the virus going to be here? Well, it is here. It's not if it's going to be here. Am I going to have enough money? Well, it's because you're just out of center. You come back in center. You realize that God's grace and power is always helping you. But Swami Sri Teswarji said, look fear in the face and it will cease to trouble you. Now, when he was small, his mother said, oh, there's a ghost in the closet there. Immediately goes to the closet, he opens the door, and there's no ghost. And I think a lot of people have these things in their minds. Oh, I don't know. And you open the door of your mind and you realize it's just poof, there's nothing there. And Master showed so many times that God's protection was with him. There was a time when he was in, I think it was Central Park. I may be wrong, but it was a big park on the East Coast. And he was walking in at night. He wanted to enjoy the moonrise. And the policeman there at the entrance said, oh, don't go in there at night. It's very dangerous. And Master said, I'm not afraid. And he goes in, he sits on the park bench and someone comes and this man, and he's a thief. And he says, give me a dime. And Master gives him a dime. You know, what's a dime? And he says, give me a quarter. And Master gives him a quarter. Give me 50 cents. He gives me give me $1. Master got up and said, get out! And he shouted at so much power within him. And that power is there for you. It's not, don't hurt me, don't bother me. And so Master said that he just sat back on the bench and he enjoyed the moonrise. And he goes out and the policeman said, what did you say to that man? We're even afraid of him. And Master said, oh, we just had a little understanding. And another time a hitman, gunman, who was hired to kill Master after a talk where Master talked out about people, political people. He came after the talk and he had a gun and he put it in Master's back and said, why did you talk against those people? And Master's response was, he didn't run. He didn't say, oh, leave me alone. He turns to the guy and he says, why do you live the way you do? What a thing. He knew God was protecting him. Why do you live the way you do? And the man started shaking. He drops the gun. He says, what are you doing to me? What are you doing to me? And he runs off. But another fabulous story of God's protection of Master was he was at Mount Washington one day, and this brother of one of the people who lived there, he didn't want his sister to be living there. So he comes and he's coming to beat Master up at the ashram. And Master said, by the way, stay within the protection of the ashram. Now, what does that mean? In the protection of the practices, in the protection of your guru bhais, in the protection of satsang, protection of seva, the protection of the gurus. And so Master was sitting on his bed, meditating, and he knew what was going to happen. I mean, he knew everything. So the man comes and he opens the door and says, I'm going to beat you. And Master says, I'll tell you one thing, I'm very strong. But he said, if you cross that threshold, you're going to have problems. He told him that. Don't cross that threshold at the door. And so the man, he comes after Master, and then suddenly he falls down on the floor, and he's just completely burning up like he was on fire. And he said, I'm on fire. And he runs out of the room. He runs down the stairs. He's on the grass, rolling over. I'm on fire. Master comes down and he just touches him And the man just races out of there. He never came back again. I mean, you just don't realize the power of God. And Master showed this with his own disciples. Remember, Dr. Lewis was going to that, it was a satsang, and it was on an icy road, East Coast in the winter in America. And his car starts swerving, turning around like this. And it was he and a couple of other disciples in the car. And Dr. Lewis said it was like a giant hand just boom on that car and held that car steady. And they were able to get to the satsang. Now, I've heard so many stories, and I have so many myself. You must have stories of your own where you just know Master's protection was there. There's the boy who was plastering. We've seen these things in the Answer film, and he was going up the ladder. The ladder was, he was going up the ladder with this bucket full of plaster. And he gets unstable and he starts going back, the ladder starts going back. And he could have died. And he just chants, Om, and the ladder goes back in the right direction. I mean, how can anybody doubt after hearing so many of these things? And one of the ones I really love is when the guy's in the car, the hitchhiker, he's in the car with these men who were, they were going to have him as a part of a crime. He didn't know that, but he was a disciple. Master told him never hitchhike. He was hitchhiking anyway. So they drive way off the beaten path, and they're driving up in the country, and the guy knows he's in trouble by now. And then they get to the house and they get him out of the car and they get him over there, trying to shove him in the house, and they keep ringing the doorbell, knocking on the door. Nobody comes to the door. So then they get him back in the car and they take him and get him out of the car and leave us. And so Master, when he said, I told you not to hitchhike. I had to close the ears of everybody in that house so that you wouldn't get into trouble. Don't hitchhike. And we just have to know that the Guru knows everything. And Master's, Dr. Lewis's daughter, he healed her from epilepsy. I mean, we just have to keep calling and calling. And what is the thing that stops that, prevents us from that attunement? Lack of practice, lack of devotion, lack of love, lack of faith, lack of proper attitudes, lack of putting your hand in Divine Mother's hand and Master's hand. And Master said himself, maybe it was Swamiji, I can't remember, but you find yourself in trouble, call to Master. Master, like that fellow with the flatbed truck coming down the hill, Mount Washington Hill, and the brakes failed. And he said, Master, is this what you want? And suddenly the truck came to a stop. And this is it. All you have to do is read the stories, really, honestly. You read the stories, it gives you so much faith in the new path. There's so many. Autobiography of a Yogi, there's so many. If you strengthen yourself, your karma is minimized. Your aura is strong. God and Guru's power can come in and help you. They can't help you if you're worried and sick and I can't do it. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh, how can I? You close the door yourself. Do everything in your power to make things work. Do everything in your power to strengthen yourself. Energize many times a day. Do more Mahamudra. Listen to the chants. Do more Kriya. Affirm. Do everything in your power to not have any fear. And you won't have any fear. And otherwise, you fear about this and fear about that. And as you practice strongly, you find that you rise above fear. And then there's the beautiful story of the man who had diabetes. Master told the story himself. And he said the man had 3 months to live. But he said, if I have 3 months to live, I'm going to use it to find God. And he couldn't even sit up hardly in the bed. He could sit up for, first 15 minutes, then half hour, and he'd do his sadhana, his meditation. Then he could sit up a little longer, and then he could sit up longer. And then the 3 months passed. And in his sadhana, he just kept praying, Lord, come into this broken temple. That was his prayer. And he just kept meditating. He kept doing what he could do. He wasn't afraid. He just kept doing his part. And as what Sharda Ma said, the wife of Ramakrishna, if it's your karma to lose a leg, a devotee, a disciple, maybe you get a scratch. And Master said, the disciples will be protected. But boy, I love how Swamiji clarified that. He said, but that depends on you. It's not like there's a blanket coverage of all the disciples. It's like, if you're really putting out energy, you're really trying, you're clinging. Of course, God and gurus have to help you. So the man sat up longer and longer. 6 months passed. He was sitting at a certain point, he was sitting for many, many hours a day, 6 hours, 12 hours. I think it was 18 hours at a certain point. He lived for so long. And then one day he had a vision of God. And God told him, Divine Mother said, where my light is, no darkness can dwell. And his whole body recovered. This is a true story from that disease. And he said, I didn't ask you to heal me. I just wanted you to come into this broken temple. There's so many miracles, miraculous things, but you have your own karma as well. You have to pay off that karma. There's personal karma, there's family karma, there's karma, community karma. We have very good community karma with Ananda. I mean, look at our gurus, look at Swamiji. We have very, very, very good karma. There's national karma, there's worldwide karma. There's a lot of things that affect you. You can't run away from them. But if you stand firm and say, whatever happens, I stand with Divine Mother, I stand with the gurus, I stand with Master, I stand with Babaji. And when Babaji had that disciple, they said he was a servant. When he was Babaji's disciple, I'm sure. He went to Swami Shankara for that lifetime and for an astrological reading. And he said to him, listen, you're going to die tonight. This is a heavy karma you got here. And the man was just shaken up. He came back to Babaji's shivering, shaking, trembling. And he says, I'm going to die tonight. And Babaji said, go back and tell him it's not going to happen. And he said, really? I mean, he was doubting. He said, go back and tell him. So he went and told Swami Shankara, my guru says it's not going to happen. He says, oh, this is a heavy karma. If this doesn't happen, I myself will come and take diksha from your guru. That night, a huge lightning storm happened, and there was lightning striking all around them. Babaji laid on the disciple and protected him all night long. Now think about it. I know at times Babaji's presence has been over me. Master's presence has been over me to protect me. Lahiri Mahashaya, Swamiji, they come over the disciple to protect them. The next morning, the guy gets up, the little disciple, and he's so happy, he's still alive. And he goes to Swami Shankara, here I am. And he says, I will come with you now. And Master said, that's how Swami Shankara took diksha from Babaji. Never forget the power of the masters, the power of Kriya, the power of energization, the power of Satsang, Seva. Use them. Use all of these tools, all these gifts, all these blessings, and then stand without any fear and affirm in your mind always, I live without fear. God bless you. Let's hear some songs of Swamiji, then we'll have an arati and blessing.
Walk like a man, even though you walk alone. Why court approval once the road is known? Let come who will, but if they all turn home, the goal still awaits you. Go on alone. Follow your dream, though it lead to worlds unknown. Life's but a shadow, once our dreams have flown. What if men cry, your dream is not our own? Your soul knows the answer. Go on alone. Give life your heart, bless everything that's grown. Fear not the loving, all this world's your own. Make rich the soil, but once the seed is sown, seek freedom, don't linger, go on alone. Walk like a man, even though you walk alone. Why court approval once the road is known? Let come who will, but if they all turn home, the goal still awaits you. Go on alone. Go on alone. Go on alone. Listen, listen, whispering within your soul, hints of laughter, hints of joy, sweet songs of sadness, of quenchless yearning for the light, for my love, your true home. Long your heart has played the dance, long you've toyed with merest shadows of the treasures left behind you deep in your soul. Long you plumbed the dark for answers, long you've begged from beggars' empty hands, gifts of life they too were seeking, gifts none could share. Friend, how long will you wander? Friend, as long as you seek your home in a land where all are strangers, love locks her door. Leave to the weak his craven life, to the coward leave his dreaming. Oh, my saint, wake up, reclaim the light, seek the truth behind all seeming. Leave to the weak his craven life, to the coward leave his dreaming. Oh, my saint, wake up, reclaim the light, seek the truth behind all seeming. Turn, turn, turn within, in silence of soul, in cave of love, find my abode. sing, whispering within your soul, hints of laughter, hints of joy, sweet songs of sadness, of quenchless yearning for the light, for my love, your true home.
The green summer fade and winter draw near. My Lord, in your presence I live without fear. Through tempest, through snows, through turbulent tide, the touch of your hand is my strength and my guide. I ask for no riches that death can destroy. I crave only thee, your love and your joy. I ask for no riches that death can destroy. I crave only thee, your love and your joy. The dancers will pass, the singing must end. I welcome the darkness with you for my friend. The green summer fade and winter draw near. My Lord, in your presence I live without fear. Through tempest, through snows, through turbulent tide, the touch of your hand is my strength and my guide. I ask for no riches that death can destroy. I crave only thee, your love and your joy. I ask for no riches that death can destroy. I crave only thee, your love and your joy. The dancers will pass, the singing must end. I welcome the darkness with you for my friend.
Please stand now for the arati and the blessing.
Jai Ram, Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Father, Mother, friend, our God, we thy wonders all proclaim. Father, Mother, friend, our God, we thy wonders all proclaim. Father, Mother, friend, our God, we thy wonders all proclaim. May our thoughts be only of thee, train our hearts to sing thy name. May our thoughts be only of thee, train our hearts to sing thy name. May
Feel the blessings of the masters at the spiritual eye. Feel them with you in your life, in your heart, in your soul. Blessing you now. Let's rub the hands together and share these blessings with the whole world. Divine Mother, may thy love shine forever upon the sanctuary of my devotion, and may I be able to awaken thy love in all true hearts. I am thine, Mother. Be thou eternally mine. Om Shanti Shanti. God bless you all and have a wonderful day.